value of whole life insurance while you're alive, how you can leverage it as you're alive, how it can give you more peace of mind while you're alive, and how it can help you accomplish what you want to accomplish in your life financially, how it can help you show up more powerfully in your life on a more predictable basis than any other product in the financial industry at all. If you're going to have your money stored somewhere, right, and you believe you need an emergency account, you believe you need an opportunity fund, well, there's no better place in the world you're gonna have liquidity use and control of that money. There's no place better, no financial vehicle, storage vehicle in the world that's gonna get you a better return, give you better liquidity, give you ancillary benefits, get your dollar performing more than one function in your life, performing multiple duties, right, than a whole life policy. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It is Chris with Life 180, and for this video, we're gonna be talking about the living benefits of whole life insurance. And I've been thinking about doing this video for a while. I don't know why I haven't done it to this point in time, but the bottom line is, it's really an interesting topic to me, and I kind of find myself laughing about this quite often because of the fact that there's so many index universal life people out there, and they talk a lot about the living benefits. And if I had a nickel for every time I had an IUL agent tell me, well, IUL is better because it has living benefits, I mean, I'd probably be wealthy just on that alone, right? Like, so it's one of those things where I'm blown away that this is so misunderstood. So many people, agents, clients, whatever, they choose index universal life over whole life insurance because of the fact that they think index universal life has living benefits and whole life insurance doesn't, when the facts are whole life insurance has living benefits. In fact, whole life insurance had living benefits before IUL had living benefits. And, it is what it is. So what I want to do for this video is just go through what are the living benefits. And it's important to understand that every company has and structures their living benefits a little bit differently. But I want to just talk about, when we talk about what are the living benefits, it's not just a matter of what we call the ABRs, the accelerated benefit riders. It's just a matter of, to me, when I look at a whole life policy, I think about, is it in alignment with what I want my money to be doing for me for the rest of my life, right? And for me, it's a big thing to control the money in my life. It's a big thing for me to be prepared for every situation that might come up in my life. So what I'm going to do today in this video is go through kind of step by step what all the benefits are, and ultimately let's leave the death benefit out. I don't want to minimize the importance of having life insurance because it's important, but for the context of this video, I simply want to talk about the value of whole life insurance while you're alive, how you can leverage it as you're alive, how it can give you more peace of mind while you're alive, and how it can help you accomplish what you want to accomplish in your life financially, how it can help you show up more powerfully in your life on a more predictable basis than any other product in the financial industry at all. Now, once again, it is not the end-all be-all savior of products that's going to help people. It is simply a financial tool. If you use the financial tool like anything else, it's going to help you if it is in alignment with what your needs are and with how you plan to leverage it, right? It's no different than any other tool. You give me a hammer, I'm not going to be good with that tool. Personally, like, ask my wife. I am not very handy when it comes to doing stuff like that. She goes, well, I'm good with a phone, right? So that's all I need to be good with. As long as I can call somebody to fix my stuff, I'm good to go. So that, bad joke, I guess, but true. So here's the bottom line. Let's get into this and let's talk about the living benefits. Now, let's start with the accelerated benefit riders. Now, ABRs, as for short, are if you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill while you're alive, what will happen is, and once again, it changes based on the carrier, based on who the insurance company is. It changes a little bit as far as percentages and all, and how they give access and what their qualifications are. So you need to make sure you check that out and are clear on that. But this is just an overview. But if you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill, you can get access to your death benefit in advance, a portion of your death benefit in advance while you're alive. So what does that mean? Well, for me, and why does that matter? So I remember one of the first policies I ever wrote back in 2010. I was working with somebody who was going on a vacation. I was working with another agent on this policy that I was getting mentored on when I was kind of newer in the business. And this woman wanted to get a policy. And, I didn't have the urgency to get her into the policy at the time because I didn't really understand I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So she ends up getting this policy I guess at the behest of the agent that I was working with, because she was like, listen, I'm going to Florida on a vacation. Why don't I just deal with this when I get back? And so the agent I was working with really pushed to the point where I was uncomfortable and was like, no, listen, you need to get this in place, because once it's in force, if something happens to you on your trip, if, like anything goes, awry, you're going to have this benefit in place. Now, we were initially thinking the death benefit, but what happened was on her trip, she was actually died. She got really, really sick. She was on like a 3-week trip. She got really, really sick, ended up going to the hospital, found out that she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now, that hits close to me at this point in time because my father-in-law actually had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, still has, and by the grace of God has been living with it for over a year now. But she wasn't so lucky. On this trip, she got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave her about 3 months to live. They basically told her life was going to be uncomfortable, so on and so forth. And what she decided to do is, she came back and she was so scared. She was worried the life insurance wouldn't be in place. But when we got through it and we realized that the life insurance was in fact in place, and to make it better, because it had accelerated benefit riders on the whole life policy, she was able to have access to a portion of that death benefit while she was alive. What did that mean for her? And rather than her going through the treatments in traditional way, she was able to do some alternative treatments that were not covered by insurance, and she was able to increase the quality of her life and be able to travel. She was able to also take a portion of that money and spend it with her family. She actually ended up taking 12 of her kids and grandkids on a trip to Australia and doing all these different things and enjoying the last portion of her life and spending quality time with people. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that's the important stuff in life, right? And when I also look at the accelerated benefit riders, it does help. Like, so let's go flip to my father-in-law, right? One of the things with accelerated benefit riders is one of the reasons that I'm huge on this. My wife and I are very, very into natural health. I'm like totally against the traditional mindset of Western world medicine and the chemo and the radiation and all these treatments that go into traditional treatment of cancer. I mean, I'll tell you this, my father-in-law, we've had through natural treatments and he's still around 14 months later. His oncologists look at him like he's got 2 heads. They don't understand what's going on. It's amazing what you can do. Sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox here about this a little bit, but it's amazing what you can do treating stuff with diet, with nutrition, with vitamins, doing natural therapies. We had to send to Mexico to get some natural therapies that weren't even allowed to be sold in the US. It's insane what the FDA does here in this country. But the beautiful part is, even though a lot of these treatments are not covered by health insurance, what happens is by having access to accelerated benefit riders and a portion of the death benefit ahead of time, he can use that to pay for some of his medical treatment, right? And some of the alternative medical treatment in whatever way he decides is the best for his own medical directive. And for me, that's a big deal. That's one of the biggest reasons that I want to have a big chunk of change. Like, I want to have enough death benefit for my kids, for my family, for my wife, to make sure that, they're able to live the life that I'm trying to build for them, right? But I also want to make sure I have enough on top of that in place for me to be able to access for my own medical treatment to be able to be used in whatever way I want, right? Like, based on whatever's thrown at me in that environment. That's a big, big deal. Being able to have access to those is huge. Now let's move past all that kind of sobby, sad stuff. And, unfortunately, it's the stuff that we have to deal with when we're talking about, life insurance and we deal with it. The reality is it's kind of death insurance, and we're trying to prepare for that, right? Like, and how do you leverage it? And so when we talk about how to use life insurance in life while we're alive and to, make our life better, if you watch this channel, you know I talk a lot about the power of utilizing whole life insurance as a banking alternative. Now, when I talk about that, we utilize the infinite banking concept a lot. We use that terminology. But the bottom line is, if you're going to have your money stored somewhere, right, and you believe you need an emergency account, you believe you need an opportunity fund, well, there's no better place in the world you're gonna have liquidity use and control of that money. There's no place better, no financial vehicle, storage vehicle in the world that's gonna get you a better return, give you better liquidity, give you ancillary benefits, get your dollar performing more than one function in your life, performing multiple duties, right, than a whole life policy. And what's gonna happen is when you save and you utilize a whole life policy as a savings alternative, as you save your money over time, what's going to happen is, I always tell people that a properly designed whole life insurance policy is the only product in the world that will guarantee that your quality of life will get better and better and better on an annual basis, whether you want it to or not. Because if you implement the infinite banking concept, and I'm going to talk about like saying, okay, we're going to use an infinite banking design policy here. And when you look at the infinite banking concept, it's not about the policy, it's about the implementation. It's about how you view life and finances and the financial system that you implement in your life, how you make your financial decisions. And the whole life policy is simply the vehicle that is kind of the measuring tool. It's your scoreboard of where your money is, what all your decisions, I should say, all of your decisions flow through this policy, right? And when you operate from that perspective, and your whole life policy is your scoreboard on what decisions you can make based on what you're trying to accomplish and what your timeframes are, now all of a sudden it makes it so everything you're able to do, everything you're looking to do, you have a predictable system to be able to get there, and you have benchmarks and rules to follow inside of that system to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. And if you can't make if you don't have enough money inside of your policy to be able to go out and do something, that means you're not ready for it yet, and there's all these different things that kind of go into it. So, on top of the ABRs, which are obvious, and I spent some time on that at the beginning, obviously, but on top of that, the biggest thing I can tell you is that we all need to save money. Savings rates are low. Investment rates are being positioned as savings, and so that's a big thing that I think is important for people to understand, is that we need to save before we invest, and we need to save with the intent of investing what we save, right? And if you talk to any wealthy person, even though I'm not a big fan of him, one of the people who does this really well is Grant Cardone. He talks about this really, really well, where he's saying you need to save money to invest. And what I'm talking about here is, if you're going to save money to invest, the best place to actually save money with the intent of investing that money is inside of a whole life policy. And when you do that, that will help you leverage your life policy, your whole life policy, during your lifetime. It will help you get where you want to go faster, more predictably, and put you more in control of the results in your life. And to me, that is one of the biggest things that is missing in this world, is people don't have enough accountability for the results in their own life, for their own results. They like to, especially when it comes to money, and this is why people are sucking with their money and not getting where they want to go, is because they just don't want to think about it. They don't want to take accountability for it. They want to, put money in an account like a 401k that they don't understand what's going on. They couldn't explain it very simply. They're saving for a period that's 30 to 40 years out in the time horizon, where they don't understand what the variables, what the landscape is going to look like. And when you don't understand those things, it's impossible to plan effectively, right? So what I'm talking about is understanding the metrics of where you want to go, reverse engineering a plan to get there, and creating a system that gives you the ability to control the results predictably in your life. And that is the benefit of whole life insurance. I always say it's the only financial product in the world that'll make sure that what you want to happen will happen when you want it to happen, whether you're here to see it or not. And that just, a lot of people think that I'm just talking about death and, the life insurance part of it. But the bottom line is it's a financial system that goes into this. If you want to get into real estate investing, you can leverage it to get there, and you can measure that and predict when that's going to happen to help you get into your first and second and third and fourth and fifth properties, and that compounds, right? If you get sick, You know what you're going to have access to, so you know how you're going to be able to respond financially, and that gives you peace of mind. And when you have peace of mind and you have clarity and you have more more of an understanding of how you're going to react before anything happens to you, you can show up more powerfully in life. You could be more dynamic. I always tell people, it's not the things that we expect that throw us off our game. It's the things that we don't expect. So you need to really think about all the things that can happen to you in life, and you need to put together a plan that will help protect you in all those environments. And the reality is, most of us are, well, the facts are, I'm 40 years old. I'm over 70% more likely to become disabled or have something else negatively happen to me where I'm going to need access to money while I'm alive than I am to die before I'm 65, right? So why is everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, why are most people out there just planning on life insurance before they're 65 when the reality is they're much more likely to have other living needs of the money? So why don't we just use one product and really understand it and really design it properly to accomplish all those needs in our life? And that's the living benefits of whole life insurance. So if you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, smash that subscription button, hit the bell, that way you get notified every time we launch a new video. Check out the videos at the end here on the end screen, the playlist in the video. I think they'll serve you. I think they'll help the education journey keep going for you. And until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll talk soon. See ya.